Hi, Paul Ribbons here. Now, I'm shooting this video today because I'm a bit embarrassed actually. I was looking through YouTube videos that I did back a decade ago, 2013, and I come across a video I did on the 7 stages of negotiation. And whilst the content is still relevant today and certainly it's timeless, the presentation wasn't particularly good, and I was looking back at it thinking my style wasn't particularly engaging at that time. I was very new to doing videos. It's a little bit different today. I think also technology's moved on. I used to do it with a camera and a microphone and a lapel microphone, and it was remote, and it was a lot more to it. It used to take ages to upload, and so technology's moved on in that 10 years dramatically. But it got me thinking, because it's so relevant today as it was then, the 7 stages of negotiation, I thought I'd do a new video, an up-to-date video, and this is what this video is all about, the 7 stages of negotiation. And we're making a few assumptions here that you're in sales, or you're a property investor, and you're dealing with general public, i.e. owner occupiers direct. So this works really well in them situations. So what are the 7 stages of negotiation? Well, the very first one is probably one of the most important and the most difficult for people to get their head around. And as soon as I walk into someone's property, or if I'm dealing with them on a one-to-one, the first thing I tell them is the reason why I'm here. What's in it for me? And there is a reason for that. I do that for a specific reason. Because if I go in there and tell them exactly what's in it for me before we go any further, that's formulating in their mind that if I'm that honest up front, they could probably trust me. But inside, it's difficult for people to try and do that, because they're thinking, well, I want to tell them what I can do for them, which is the opposite way around. To be honest with you, if you've got to shout and scream about what you can do for them, you're probably not listening to them. So it's important to get that out of the way first, and then we can get into the nitty gritty. So stage 2 is about asking them their situation, their circumstances they find themselves in. Now, if you'd done the job properly, by that time you got to the appointment, you would have had that information anyway, but I like to get it reaffirmed. And also, whilst I'm there in front of them, they're talking, not me. And that gives them the upper hand, so to speak, because they're explaining, they're in control of the conversation at that moment in time. They'll give me all the information I require, and if I'm not clear on it, I will ask further questions. I won't interrupt them, I let them talk. Once they've exhausted and told me everything I need to know, I then reaffirm that back to them. That's stage 3. Reaffirm it back to them. Okay, so what you're saying is this, and this. And that does something very important. That makes the vendor, or the person you're dealing with, understand you understand them. You understand their situation. That's very important. And then we float on to number 4. That's when you can start to tell them what you can do for them. You know, how you can give them flexibility, or you can help them move on, or whatever the case may be. We can give you this, we can do this. Give them the certainty they need. And then I go on to stage 5, which is another one which you're going to find difficult to deal with. Give them an alternative. Let them know that they can get a better price from somewhere else. Let them know that there's other services out there that they could use or explore. Because I promise you now, if you've done them 4 stages first, they probably won't even want to go anywhere else. But it's about not worrying about losing the deal, i.e. doing the transaction. And if you're genuinely in this business, if you are looking to help the person in front of you, then you give them that option to do so. And then once we've got past 5, number 6 is about reframing my offer, because my offer is probably going to be quite away from where they want to be. So I would then say, look, I'm really like you. We've had a great conversation, but I don't want to give you an offer today because I think I might insult you. And that is framing that offer to be a lot lower from where they are. Now, you'll ever get one or two responses to that. Is one, I don't want to be insulted today. If they ask you what an insult is, then you know there's flexibility in from their price and what your price is. And then the last one is just as important, and that's to give the offer. Is to actually give the offer. And I do remember writing about this. I find this really hard. It's like you give them the offer, and conventional training will say, "Don't say nothing." The one who speaks first loses. I have a problem with that. And the reason why I have a problem with it is because it's a bit of a manipulative tactic. They feel awkward, so they're going to say something. And that does tend to happen. You know, people don't like silences, but you're sort of pushing them into saying something. I always say it. I'll stay quiet for a minute or so. And then if nothing's happened, then I'll say, look, obviously clearly need time to think about it. I'll give you my number, or call me, or whatever the case may be, to give them a little time to process it. We don't normally need that time, but I do give them that time if necessary. So they're the 7 stages of negotiation. They're very important. It's important you run through them in that order. Don't do the first one last, because you'd have lost them before you even get there. And this is not about rapport building. This is about building bonds, because bonds are built with trust. And once you get a bond with someone, it's very, very powerful. I honestly believe that you should have rapport with everybody you come across, from someone cleaning the toilets through to serving you at your dinner table. Every single person that you deal with, it shouldn't be you should be looking to build rapport. That should be your default setting. You should be building rapport with every single human being you come across. It should be the prerequisite to any communication. And that's important to remember. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Now, if you want, we're going to go deeper into this, a lot deeper, on a little webinar I'm going to be sharing. And I've got the link in the description below of this YouTube video. Join me on this webinar where I'll take you through them 7 steps, and I'll explain why they're so important and the psychology behind each one of these stages, because there is a lot of psychology here. This is not about negotiation. Negotiation has got nothing to do with the price. It's all about the process, and that process of establishing you as the only credible person. Most of the time in this situation, if there is a deal to be done, and I say if because sometimes there are parameters that we can't bridge. If there's a chance that deal could be done, 99% of the time they're doing it with me, because I've done this process. I've gone through this process, and I'm going to take you into, really delve into that, and give you an understanding. And then when you have that deeper understanding, it will become even more powerful. So I look forward to seeing you on that webinar, and thank you very much for your time.